Merry meet and welcome to day 19. So today is how did you come to your personal path, which I've told the story before, and it's a page in the Book of Shadows series that will probably be up by the time you see this, at least that page. Again, I'm recording all of these at once, so I don't know when you're seeing them, but, well, I mean, I know when you're seeing these. I don't know when you're seeing the other one, but anyways. So, we'll tell the story if you're not, aware. So, I was 13, and at the time I was kind of more agnostic. I wasn't convinced that this was it, that we just randomly were here, that things just randomly occurred. It just seemed very peculiar that there are so many overlapping myths from around the world, and there was no way these people knew each other existed, really. Just seems kind of odd that they all had, like, a god of thunder, and a god of the sea, and, whatever. I mean, maybe not the sea, depending on where they lived. I don't know if they all had oceans. But you know what I mean. It tended to have the same themes across cultures, which, I mean, you could, argue that it's just human nature, manifesting, because we all kind of have the same type of mindset and needs and stuff, and all of that, because we're all the same species, but it just seemed weird to me. And it was like, I was always fascinated by, like, ancient Egyptian and, like, just their culture and the way they lived and all of that good stuff. And so I never really was like, I always wanted to believe that, like, the old beliefs that our ancestors had could be applied modernly. And I had thought it for years, like, I don't know if other places have this, but here, like, you would always learn about the tribes that lived in Utah, hundreds of years ago. Like the Anasazis and the Fremonts. We didn't really learn too much about, like, the southern Utah ones, because I think there's, oh my god, what are they? I want to say Kokopelli, but I'm pretty sure that's the deity. Like, there's the dude, the thing, and if you're not from here, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But, like, there was tribes. Moral of the story. We really focused on the Fremonts and the Fremonts and the Anasazis. And so I was always fascinated, and I was like, oh my god, but, like, they honored the earth. Like, that is so cool. And so I really wanted that to be a thing, and, like, the ancient Egyptians and all their deities, and I was like, god, why can't we just have that religion around? I would sign up in a heartbeat. Like, I genuinely, for the longest time, was like, I want to be mummified. I want to be a mummy when I die. Because that's what you think about as a child. Like, I genuinely had, like, a plan of what was to happen to my body when I died. And I've changed it now, but you can actually do that here. It's weird. We have a mummification spot. Like, we have a freaking pyramid thing in downtown Salt Lake that they do that, but you also sign away all of your rights and your parents. I mean, it's switch parents. Your family, and next of kin and all that good stuff. I don't think they have rights to your body after that. Ask a Mortician talked about it at some point. I don't remember when, so I can't link it, but she did. I remember her talking about that, and I was like, that's where I'm at! And it was so cool. But anyways, back to the point. So, by the time I was 13, it was just kind of like, I was on the vampire kick, as were most girls my age. We were reading all of the books, not just Twilight. All of them. Every single one that was getting published. You just go to the Barnes & Noble section, you're like, okay, here's the vampire section, and then you just read them all. And so, we were reading through the House of Night series, and my friend, which if you haven't read that, it's like vampires meet witchcraft, and, like, Wicca. And also, it goes all over the place. I don't think I actually finished it. I think I might have read the second to last book. I know I haven't read the last one. And I don't even know if the series has continued past that point. But yeah, it is meant for teenage girls, and when you're not a teenage girl, it is hard to get back into. So, moral of the story, we were obsessed with these, which meant they had, like, full moon and new moon rituals and, like, calling in the elements and all of these things in the book. And then my friend was like, hey, my coven is having, or the coven I'm a part of is having a full moon ritual. Do you want to come? And I was like, what the fuck? On all of the fronts, because at, like, 13, and I don't think this type of mindset exists anymore, it feels very, like, honed in from the past, like, 30 years of generations where you're like, technology that exists now obliterates ours that we grew up on. So we had the internet, and there was like some discussions that you could find about like subcultures and stuff, but it wasn't like easy to find, and there wasn't a whole lot of talk about it as much. It was just kind of like these taboo things, and I was like, okay, well, there's like some weird ass people out there and some weird ass things that like normal folks don't know about, so like what level am I getting myself into here? And so I was very nervous about it, let alone the fact that I am always anxious to this day of hanging out with people. It just, your heart starts pumping and you're just like, I'm just gonna hide. And like, thankfully now I have my human crutch of a man that I can just like hide behind, and he can float conversations, he can babysit me, because I get so awkward, like I don't know how to leave. Like, I'm just so awkward. I'm like, you need to tell me to go and I'll leave and I'm fine. But like, I don't want to be rude and be like, okay, bye. Like, my brain is a fun place. So anyways, moral of the story, I was anxious about going for a lot of reasons, because I'm just an awkward person. So I went to this ritual, and literally, like, as I was like getting ready to go, she's like, oh, well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so are gonna be there, and they're all gonna be new too. And I'm like, well, great for being new, but I don't get along with these people. They're kind of rude, and like, I didn't expect them to be into this kind of stuff, so okay. I kind of just, alright, whatever, not happy about that. Because sometimes it's nicer to just go into like a full group of strangers than like people you don't really like and get along with. Especially in like 7th grade, 8th grade, you know? Like prime time middle school drama, and you're just like, ugh. So, no one else showed up. Not even the high priestess. It was just me and my friend, and I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. This is my level of social interaction that I am comfortable with. So, we go to a local park, and I thought that was always, it was kind of cool, because I was like, because I was a very maintained child. Like, we stayed at our house, in our yard, in our area, and we didn't go elsewheres. So to like walk from her house to the park was like, ooh, we're so naughty. And so we went to the park. She had a bag of supplies, which had like some candles and a lighter and stuff like that. And she cast a circle, had me follow along, and it's like, she was like, you always have to sit on like your, you know, like when you're kneeling, but like you're sitting on your feet, which makes your whole leg fall asleep, especially when you're fat. Oh my God, it's the worst. So she told me I always had to sit like that in circle. And when you're doing anything, you have to. I was like, okay. I wasn't like going into this like, ooh, I'm gonna become a witch. Like, I was just kind of like, aight, whatevs. And then she had me like recite this thing with her off of her phone. I couldn't see it. I had to like listen to what she was saying, which is a struggle for my brain. So did that, and then like she was like, oh, now we get to figure out what element you are, which was definitely from the book, because it's like, you didn't make like this huge bustle of wind. You didn't make the cold September evening warm with like, you know, fire, or like affect the flames. You know, you didn't create like a mist to come in. You didn't make the blades of grass point towards us. So because you did none of those, you should be spirit. That should be your element. And I'm like, first of all, I was like, but there's no fucking way I would be able to do any of these things. So, okay. Second of all, could I just not be special for once? Like, do I always have to just be the special little flower over here that's just like, ew, look at me, I'm so special? Because sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it gets old to always be the weird odd one out. Always. So I was like, I don't know how to honor this element. And I still to this day have a hard time with it, because it's not a physical manifestation thing. So anyways, after that, you know, we talked the whole walk back to her house, and she was, you know, talking about how, you know, like the beliefs and stuff, like how you can sense the energies of like the trees and blah, 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 and all of these things. And then it took like this weird twist of all of this nature stuff and power from nature and blah, 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 and the goddess, and it's great and wonderful. but then God created everything. And that was a jarring moment. And so I picked up some books after that and started looking it up online. And there's a lot more information out there now than there was like 10 years ago. And I live in Utah. You don't get a lot of witchy books in the library because it's Utah. We are ruled by the Mormons. They don't want you doing that. So there's not a lot, and they are definitely the majority here. So it is not easy to just like run to the library and get like a bunch of books. So that's why usually I just buy mine, because 9 times out of 10, finding a witchy book, it's like straight up a shot in the dark. Like, are we gonna get it? So once in a while you do, and you're like, hell yeah. But it is a rarity upon rarities. So instead, you know, nowadays I buy them. But anyway, so I found a few, like there's like, I think maybe like 2 or 3 that the library had. And so I got those and I read through those and I started looking stuff up online, and then just progressively started learning. And like within a day or two, I don't remember if it was that night or if it was a little bit later, but she was like, hey, you should learn like who your matron and patron are. So I literally like, I went over to my bookcase and I was like, okay. So I grabbed my ancient Egyptian book, grabbed that, and I was like, okay, flip to the deities, okay. And I read through them, and I was literally like, okay, which ones do I like the most? And there were some pretty good ones, but I was like, you know what? Osiris is the god of the dead. He's basically a zombie god, and I'm pretty sure he'd get along with his wife because they're married, so those two. That is how I picked my matron and my patron at 13. So that is my witchcraft origin story of glory. You're welcome. I would love to hear yours in the comments down below. And until tomorrow, thank you for watching and blessed be. If I could hit the end button and not the awkward lighting situation. Good lord, have mercy on my ghost face here. Okay, bye!